You're listening to the Sanditon Chronicles, where we talk all things Sanditon and Sanditon adjacent. Come along with us as we dissect all of your favorite characters, scenes, and dialogue. We have so much to tell you. Okay, so we are still getting set up, but hi guys, welcome to the Sanditon Chronicles Live. I'm Maureen.
I'm Janice.
And we are going to be just chatting about what's going on post Sanditon, how we're all doing without anything to watch tonight. All that sort of stuff. I'm just putting the links on our Facebook and on our YouTube and on our Instagram, getting all that stuff done, ready for you. But if you are here, why don't you tell us where you're from and how you're feeling about Sanditon, about the end of Sanditon. How do you feel about it, Janice?
Well, I'm very sad, of course, to see it end, but I was somebody had posted, probably multiple people have posted, that we got the news yesterday, 2 years ago yesterday, that the series was going to be continued. And, they lived up to their promise. We did get 12 episodes split into 2 seasons, and we got our happily ever after. So
we did.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I meant, I don't know if you heard my dog bark right there.
Oh, no, I did not.
Okay. Well, another country heard from. No. Yeah, it was great. I'm very grateful to Masterpiece, for giving us 2 more seasons, that we weren't left on that cliffside with Charlotte heartbroken and Sydney just as heartbroken, I think.
Yes.
But anyway, so that was good. And for the person who asked if Colbourne redeemed himself in my eyes, the answer is yes. He came through. He turned around.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Not so much in season 2, definitely in season 3.
So how did you leave feeling with Ralph?
Say that one more time.
At the end of Sanditon, how did you feel about Ralph?
Well, I respect that he accepted her word. I, didn't like the way he was behaving prior to that, but it's understandable. I think he was going through a lot of fear, that it was going to end. And his way of dealing with it, like a lot of people do. And in fact, what Colbourne did earlier in the series was start demanding things,
Yeah.
And that's he was doing that, and I think it all came out of a sense of fear and loss of control, don't you think?
For sure. And I think I ended happy with him, because I think that he's going to end up with someone who's going to be more suited to him. So I ended up happy for him.
Right. Yeah, because Charlotte is not the one.
No.
She is a totally different person.
She's not your bag, man.
Yeah, the girl that he knew when she was just, in school, growing up together. And she was far more educated and interested in more worldly things. So maybe he can marry one of her sisters.
Yes, that's what I thought the whole time. I mean, there's plenty to spare on there. Why not? Why not give it up for one of the sisters who, because I think some of them actually would want to stay in Willingdon and they stay connected to their parents, and that would be perfect for them, I think. That'd be great. Yeah. I think what I'm most sad about, obviously not having Sanditon to watch on a Sunday night, is pretty sad for me. It's I don't enjoy not having this to turn to, but I think it was the loss of the newer characters for me, because I feel like Charlotte's story, they left it, they were gracious enough to leave it complete. I mean, yes, we only saw one child and it was a baby, but we can sense the trajectory of their life based on what they ended it with for her. But we don't get the end of the story for Leo. We don't get the end of the story for Augusta. We don't even get the end of the story for Edward or even Lady Denham.
No. Yeah. There was a lot of characters that don't have a conclusion, as it were. I will say that that's probably why when the writer, whose name is escaping me at the moment,
Justin Young
was asked. Yeah. All of a sudden I couldn't think of it.
I thought for sure she's not forgetting his name.
Justin Young was asked if he had the series to continue, who would he be interested in continuing with?
It was Leo and
That's what he
Augusta.
said,
Yeah.
Augusta and Leo,
Leo.
and also the Hankins, which, by the way, I just saw Mr. Hankins, the actor who plays Mr. Hankins, in The Shadow and the Bone.
Oh, really?
And
That's on my
yeah,
list.
one of the episodes in there. And I know you posted, or you shared a link with me about the fact that Ben Lloyd Hughes is in The Crown. So now I'm gonna have to watch The Crown.
He is?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I
I didn't
think
realize I
he's
shared
just,
this with you.
I think he's kind of, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe I shared it with you and you haven't seen it.
Maybe.
It was a minor, I think he's a fairly minor character, but the scene that somebody put up was him going in as he's like a PR person, and he goes and talks to the man who is the king now,
Mm-hmm.
to Charles and Camilla, about
Okay.
what they need, what they need to do. Anyway, yeah. So
I'll have to look into that.
in that too. So
I haven't
have
seen
to
anything
check it
past
out.
like season 2 of The Crown.
I haven't seen any
So-
of it.
Oh, okay. I used to watch it.
So
On our YouTube page, we got Stephanie Bernier from, she says, "Good evening, Janice Marine. I'm watching you from France. Bonjour.
oh, wonderful.
Hello." I used to take French, but that's pretty much all I remember from French is bonjour. And I know how to say I love you in French, but that would be weird for me to maybe to say this to you. But thank you for joining us. What are you thinking about the end of Sanditon, Stephanie? What are you guys thinking? I see we've got a few watchers on our YouTube page. What are you guys thinking about the end of Sanditon? What are you going to fill your time with? I think for me, because there's also that writer's strike going on right now. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening that we won't be able to see new stuff. So we have to find new things to watch to fill our time. And I felt the need to rewatch some of my Pride and Prejudice and my Sense and Sensibility. I was on, what was I on? Where they have, I was on BritBox. And they have like older Emmas that I haven't seen and older Sense and Sensibilities I haven't seen. So I was like adding stuff on my BritBox like crazy.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. I think that writer's strike, is it just in the US though?
Mm-hmm. That's my understanding, is it's just here.
Maybe we'll still get British stuff.
Oh, that would please.
And for some of the other countries. Yeah.
Please, that would be great.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're all into next. I would go to IMDb, but I'm hesitant to, because we found out with Sanditon, it's not complete. So we can't even
really
rely
accurate.
on that.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I want to see what else they're going to be in, because a lot of times that's how I go with my shows is I find something I'm in love with and I will follow those actors from network to network where they're going. I know that Leo Suter is on one show that I want to watch. Is it Vikings or Valhalla?
Viking Valhalla. It's Viking.
Oh,
Valhalla.
it's both.
Yeah. It's so there's the original show Vikings, and then there's Viking Valhalla, which I've talked to people who liked it and who didn't. I liked it well enough. I haven't seen all of the Vikings, so maybe that's why.
Okay. I didn't realize it was 2 different shows.
Yeah, the one he's in is called Viking Valhalla.
Okay.
And there's 2 seasons of it. The other characters I was just thinking about that I'd love to see the rest of the story would be Lady Susan and Samuel.
Absolutely.
That would be really fun.
So what we have a task for you guys, and maybe I'll try to do some of these too. We would like to see your fan fictions on Lady Susan and Samuel Colbourne. Bring us your best fan fictions on there. And maybe even on Leo and Augusta. Where does Augusta end up? Where does Leo end up? How does Edward's life turn out? I'd like to see those fan fictions. I think we're going to maybe we should do assignments every week. Everyone should write a fan. This week we want to see your fan fictions on Lady Susan and Samuel. Oh my gosh. Why is that so hard to say? Lady Susan and Samuel. We want to see your fan fictions on that. And we'll do a little bit like we did last year, where if we find some fan fictions that are good or that you want us to read, Janice and I will read them and review them for you. And we'll get put some links to your fan fictions on there, and we'll help you promote it that way. Stephanie says, I think Ralph doesn't really know Charlotte. He only knows one side of her. I agree completely. I think he fell in love with the girl next door in Willingdon, but he didn't fall in love with Charlotte Haywood. He fell in love with the idea of her, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Because,
Yeah, he didn't, I mean, he accused her of being a different person there. Well,
over and over again.
It was his view of her. He just didn't know who she was, really.
Yes. And then he kept saying that he wasn't sure if it was a good change or a bad change. Like, really? It's good to everybody but him. So I completely agree with that. If you want to get your Rose Williams fix, one thing that she was in that was really good was Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. A friend of mine, I think Janice, you had talked to me about that too, but a friend of mine at church had recommended that I watch that, and it was really good. Although Rose Williams plays a brat, but she plays it well.
Yeah, it's really a minor part. Really, I would highly recommend the Medicis, that series. She's in I believe the second season.
She's in 4 episodes of Medici, and then she's in a lot of Rain as well,
but she's a much more mature, much more interesting character, if you ask me, in Medici's than she is in Rain.
Yeah. Well, she plays Katerina, which is, I think, her mother-in-law in Rain, isn't it? Catherine is her mother. Catherine de Medici is her mother-in-law in Rain, or her mom in Rain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So is she actually playing that? The mother in Rain, is she playing that character in Medici?
No, she doesn't play the mother in Rain. She plays the daughter.
No, I know, but Catherine de Medici is her mom.
No.
And I see in Medici she plays Caterina Sforza Riario.
No, because it doesn't really follow. Gotcha. It follows the Medicis in Italy. Okay. And for a certain period of time, Okay. Yeah. She plays the wife of a man that's supposed to be sort of an enemy of the Medicis, but she sort of betrays him on their behalf in a way.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so it's really it's a completely different character.
Okay. Yeah. I'm fascinated by that fail. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm yawning right now. I tried so hard to suppress it and I couldn't keep it in. I'm interested by the history there. So I would like to see that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people in the series.
Crystal Clark is also in. She did two movies last year. One is Empire of Light. She plays Ruby, and the other is The King's Daughter. She plays Magali. So that's those are The King's Daughter. I think I've heard about that. Looks good. I'm just going through right now and letting you know what they're in. Oh, Chris Marshall. There's that one that you and I have been talking about that we want to see. The Death in Paradise and then Beyond Paradise.
Yeah, and I've watched the first 3 episodes.
Oh, Beyond Paradise is new.
Yeah, it's brand new.
I didn't realize that.
He was in Death in Paradise quite some time ago. And this is a new series. It's a spinoff from Death in Paradise and takes place in England as opposed to the Caribbean. And but he's pretty much the same character he was. He is the same character. But it's really good.
And that's ongoing right now.
Yeah. It's another one by Republican Planet. What's the name of the
Red Planet?
Red Planet.
Yes.
Republican. Red Planet Pictures.
Stephanie said that Ben plays Mark Bolland in The Crown.
Ah, right. That's who it is.
So that must be in the most recent season then of The Crown, because I
think it is.
I think they just did Diana's storyline, her death in The Crown. I haven't seen it, but I've been reading about it.
The clip that he was in that I saw, she hadn't died yet.
Okay. Either way, I think they're just getting into that.
He was urging the king to go ahead and get the divorce and not leave it hanging out there.
Okay.
So it was before that. Yeah.
Okay. And Annie Reid too, she's in The Last Tango in Halifax, which I heard was great. I've heard so many good things about it. You've seen it? Where can we watch that?
I think it's on BritBox, but I don't know for sure.
I'll have to dig into that.
Yeah.
because it looks like she's done all the episodes of that too. Last Tango in Halifax. Audrey Cumby says, hello, Janice and Maureen. Hi, Audrey. How are you?
Hi,
Thanks for
glad to have
joining
you
us.
join us.
I should probably check the pod. I'm all over IMDb, but I'm not paying attention to anything else.
What?
I'm all over IMDb, but I'm not paying attention to anything else. And I know a little thing about Kate Ashfield. If you caught our interview with her, which you can go through I tried to create playlists when I publish our episodes on YouTube, and I have all of our cast interviews and crew interviews listed there. And I'm talking to Kate Ashfield in one of them, and she's talking about how she's liking doing a lot of the behind the scenes things. She's written a couple of pieces, she's produced a couple of pieces, and I think when I was talking to her, she either just finished directing or she was about to direct her first thing. And so you look at her IMDb stuff, look at the stuff that she's written and that she's created that are supposed to be really good. Let's see what she wrote. She created a TV series. And then this is what she was really excited about. It was called Man in the Room 301. And that was a TV miniseries that Kate Ashfield wrote. And I heard pretty good reviews about it. So check those out too.
I have no idea where it might be, but yeah.
The one that she wrote, the most recent one that she wrote was in a different language. It was a different language. It was like Swedish or something like that. At least that's what she said in the interview. So that one I don't think is readily available to us viewers, but I think the Man in Room 301 should be.
This says that Last Tango in Halifax, I have not seen all the episodes. I've seen some of them, is on Netflix.
Oh, okay. All right. I can do that.
So good to know.
And Jack Fox is in a movie that's coming out this year, or has already come out. It's called Operation Napoleon. But I know that he was promoting 2 shows that he was in, Cheaters and Riviera. He was promoting those 2 a lot of last year as well. But Operation Napoleon is a movie that he's out. I hope he plays it. He plays Steve Rush. And I'm curious. I love Jack Fox so much that I want to see him in a role that I don't want to punch him. I would really enjoy that.
Well, speaking of him, let's talk about how his story ended at the, in Sanditon.
I still think that's a mistake. I don't think Edward Fox. I don't think Edward Denham should be a priest or a clergyman.
It does seem a contradiction in terms, but
yes.
There are lots of clergymen who are reformed sinners.
Yeah, maybe he will be reformed.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems certainly what she had in mind, not what he had in mind at all.
No, I mean, it's better than the military, I suppose. He can't trick anyone as well as he could in the military, being a clergyman.
Yeah, it's interesting how clergymen were treated in that period of time, and especially in England, from the Church of England, how it was more of, a career that was assigned to someone.
Yeah.
At least my understanding, everything I've observed, more so than it was somebody who really felt the calling and, came into the ministry.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was like Lady Denham arranged it. That's very different than we would think of it in most cases in this country, at least.
Yeah.
So,
and that certainly seemed the predominant way. And I think, like, I was just watching a show and the line was, do you like being Archbishop of Canterbury? Do you want to continue being with that? Then maybe don't come against the head of England's church, because that was the king speaking. So it does certainly seem like that was the way it went in England often. Although you see things like Jane Austen's sister Charlotte. No, why am I blanking on her name? What is Jane Austen's sister's name?
Sorry, I don't know.
Right. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad at myself right now.
It's not like Lizzie or something like that.
No, it's not.
I can look it up. Thank goodness for the internet.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so mad at myself for forgetting this. It starts with a C. It's not Caroline.
It's not Clara.
Not Caroline. It's not Charlotte. It's I don't know, but her husband, or the man she was engaged to, he was actually doing ministry for the sake of ministry. And he wanted to do that, but that was certainly not the norm, I don't feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Those people who were sincere and those who it was just a means, it seemed like it went a lot of times to second sons,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing,
Yep.
who weren't big on
Cassandra,
inheritance.
thank you.
Cassandra.
Yes.
Somebody,
On YouTube.
thank you. Oh, two people.
Joy.
Yay.
Yeah. Yes. I'm so mad that I couldn't remember that. I have a book of letters, and almost that from Jane Austen, and almost all the letters were ones that she was writing back and forth with Cassandra. And Cassandra's the one who
Right.
gave them to her nephew, who then published them. So I'm mad that I didn't remember that.
Yeah. I
Don't
couldn't
revoke
think of
my
it
Jane
either.
Austen's card. My Jane Austen card. But yeah, I think with Edward, I think there is, and that's the beauty of how they finish this, is we see him say to Augusta, "You think that you were the one to change me?"
Mhm.
Mocking her, but then she actually was the one to alter him, not completely. So they did leave us with the hope that, he could be fully redemptive.
At least he didn't go through with what he started to do.
Exactly. And
That he, understood that he didn't deserve that.
Mhm.
And as much as the other people in his life didn't deserve it either,
Yeah.
she was so, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, she didn't know all the things he had done. And
Yeah. And I think it's different when Edward cares for someone, because I think Esther was just a means to, if he could marry her off, then he could continue to siphon off the money from her husband and keep Esther in his pocket for use whenever he wanted to. But she had a purpose there. I don't think he truly felt anything for her more than she was a tool to be used by him. Clara was certainly of no emotional importance to him, but he does care a
Right.
little bit for Lady Denham, and he did care for a little bit for Augusta. I think he still does. Stephanie points out what we talked about in the last episode. She said, the way Edward looks at the young woman at Charlotte and Alexander's wedding reception, I don't think he's totally reformed. And that's what I'm going off of.
No.
I agree completely. And that's why I think it has to do with the people he cares for, because he didn't know that girl. She was something to be used by him, but he knew Augusta and he loved Augusta, and he knows Lady Denham and he had feelings for Lady Denham. And I think you see the kindness that he displays there. So if you can start with the ones that he loves, transforming him little by little, maybe he'll eventually that'll overtake him, and he'll go on to, people being a good clergyman and actually caring for the people in his church. Joy says one that inherited one son for the military and one son for the church. Yeah, usually it was, if they didn't inherit the estate, the positions on the estate would go to the next sons in line.
Yeah, either for the military or for the church. Yeah.
Yeah,
If there were three
exactly.
sons, I think that's very accurate. That's what would happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Of
always
course,
think
he
of
tried to go into the military without the means to buy a commission.
which was dangerous. And then he just kept gambling. He's so bad at gambling, but he kept gambling and losing money to all these people. But I think he was trying to gamble so that he could earn his money. And sir, that's not how it works.
Right. Yeah, that's right. But it was good to see him at least take pity on her and not, rake her through the coals and make her life miserable like he could have, because she
Who?
was very much Edward.
Oh,
He
no,
could
but
have
you didn't
done,
want him in Augusta?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it could have been worse. I mean,
Mhm.
he obviously did that to the other women,
Yeah.
and it was good for him. I mean, he had changed at least enough, to back off. And I think, a lot of it was because although she was innocent in terms of towards him, she was so direct
Yeah.
with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think he was changed enough that you could see an upward trend continue to happen with him. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I think it would be nice to see Augusta off on the sidelines, married to someone else, but knowing that he has changed. I think that would make her happy. Someone on our YouTube channel, her name is, I'm sorry, Kaula. She said, you can't do more interviews with cast or crew. They were good and enlightening. We would love to. We are working on that, actually. But there were circumstances we were working with the production crew to get interviews. And there were some circumstances there that changed that I would feel out of school to air out on here. But there was some things that happened where we weren't able to do interviews while they were promoting and putting out seasons 2 and 3. So hopefully we'll start getting them now. But yeah, I would love, Janice and I have talked about this. We'd like to talk to Justin Long. We'd like to talk again to Ollie, because Ollie Blackburn directed a couple of episodes this season. We'd like to talk to Charles Sturridge. Like, it's not just the crew or the cast that we want to talk to. We'd like to talk to the writers and the directors and even the costume designers and the choreographers and the music. Like, I'd like to talk to everybody. I mean,
right.
I don't ever want to get out of the Sanditon world. So feed me more of your Sanditon, please. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And it's a matter too of getting in contact with people that are willing and interested to continue talking about it.
Exactly.
But I do think there are quite a few that are.
Yeah.
So it would be good.
I think what I found is I reached out to, and the Sanditon Sisterhood had talked a little bit about this with me too. What I found is that this cast and crew, they're very connected to their characters that they played, and they really appreciate the fan base of Sanditon, and they want to give back to Sanditon, to the fans of Sanditon. So I found that to be true. But yes, Kala, we are trying to get you some more interviews. That's definitely high on our list. Janice and I are going to do the one with Justin together if we can get him on here, which would be like a dream interview, I think.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, it would be awesome. So
where do you see Reverend Hankins? Because I was kind of bummed because in season 1, we see him with, my memory is so bad right now.
With Miss,
is it Griffiths?
Griffiths. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. I need to do a full that's what I need to spend my summer doing, is just binging 1, 2, and 3 over and over and over and over again. But we saw him kind of flirt with Mrs. Griffiths. And I feel like if he would have had a relationship like that, it wouldn't have been as hard for Beatrice. I think he would have let her go sooner. We could have seen her happy sooner. But I think I see him alone permanently. I don't think I'll see him. I see him in my head actually going forward with a relationship. I see him dying basically alone as a clergyman and having Beatrice and Dr. Fuchs marry, but be near him.
He might have a housekeeper, but yeah. You mean not a romantic interest?
Yeah, I mean not a romantic interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think there?
Well, I do agree. I really appreciate the fact that they wrote it so that his character relented and realized how much he was hurting his sister.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that she spoke up and was, you know, instead of being subtle about it, was very forthright about it.
Yeah.
And how nice for him and Dr. Fuchs and Dr. Fuchs to be able to have each other. And obviously they had such shared interest. It was good. It was really good. And as we've said all along in this series, since she joined us in season 2, she is really such a wonderful person.
Yes.
In this. I mean, you know, such a good character, and so nice to see such a good character.
Yeah, she's been solid throughout. She is one character who she's been the most charitable, and she's been the most kind-hearted out of everyone on there, I think. I mean, Charlotte's kind-hearted, yes, but not that Charlotte did any of this stuff to gain, but Beatrice truly gained nothing by being as kind-hearted as she was. The time she reached out to Esther to help her out, she gained nothing. The time that she helped Charlotte through things or anybody else through things, she gained nothing.
Georgiana too.
Yeah. She's just, that's just who she is.
Yeah. And how innocent, but generous she was with people in terms of her attitude. Yeah. So we're asked, how many times have you rewatched each season already? Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
You guys are going to be ashamed of my answers for season 2 and 3.
Spit it out.
I only watched season 2 twice, and season 3 I only watched once. Technically twice, because to do the podcast in season 3, I would watch the episode once on Sunday, and then I would watch it again before we recorded. So technically I watched it twice.
So, but how many times did you watch season 1? Of course, we had a whole year without.
At least 90.
Yeah, a bunch of times. I am right now rewatching it, season 1, and I want to go right into season 2
Oh,
without a
where are you
gap.
at in season 1 right now?
Oh, my favorite episode, 6.
6. I know
Yeah.
what your favorite episode is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start that tonight and I'll catch up with you and then we'll watch it. Maybe we'll do
All
that
right.
together. Because I
Sounds
think
good.
what happens with me is when I get really and I think I've talked about this on here before, when I get really invested in something or something really speaks to me and I love it, I don't want to get out of the world. I will start picking up fan fiction on it. I'll start reading books on it. I'll start checking out every interview, that's actually where this came out of, is because I kept looking for interviews and I kept looking for people talking about it and I couldn't find it anywhere at the end of season 1. And I thought, if I don't get more of this, I'm going to explode. And that was why I started this podcast. So in season 1, I would basically watch it all day long, episode 1, as far as I got in there, and I would pick it up. I'd go to bed, I'd pick it up right where I left off, and I would just do that on repeat every day. So I watched it at least 90 times in a year.
We want to welcome Mary Aussie, I think it is. And she says she's from Maryland, and Jack Fox was perfection. I started to
Absolutely.
ponder what that maybe he was not acting at all.
I know.
There was not an unnatural flinch or word or look. No one else reached that caliber for me.
I
He
agree.
was, especially over the whole 3 seasons. He
Mhm.
was amazing.
Yep.
He's so good at manipulating his
Mhm.
face so that you
Yes.
know exactly what he's thinking. So yeah, I agree with you too, Mary.
He would have these
Yeah,
ticks in his jaw and the way he would turn his head just enough that you knew exactly what his character was thinking just by that alone.
it doesn't hurt that he comes from a long line of
No.
actors and actresses.
Who are
He's from a
equally
family.
talented.
Yeah, he's very talented. He's in that series Riviera, and
Mhm.
I haven't made it to I started it, I watched 2 seasons of it, and I just got so or 2 or 3, and got so disgusted I hadn't gotten to the season he's in.
Oh,
But I need to
really?
do that. Yeah, I started watching it because he was in it.
I thought
And
he was in the whole thing.
mm,
Okay.
nope, he wasn't in the first couple of seasons.
That's good to know.
But
Stephanie also says about Reverend Hankins, she says he also likes Miss Hankins and listens to her advice. I enjoy the relationship. Or are you talking about Dr. Fuchs? I don't know if Stephanie, if you're talking about Dr. Fuchs or if you're talking about Reverend Hankins.
I think she
But I
must
think-
be talking about Dr. Fuchs.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think Beatrice's
Yes,
brother likes her, but I
Mr.
don't know that he listens to her very much.
Yeah, he had a tendency to. Well, in fact, I was so mad at him at that the croquet match because he made fun of her. I didn't like that.
Yes.
She took it well, but yeah, I didn't like that.
Mhm.
So I think she must be talking about
Dr.
Dr.
Fuchs.
Fuchs.
And he
Yeah.
did. And when they would exchange letters, it was so cute. And she would talk about this. The conversation about the stethoscope is one of my favorites that they had. It was by letter,
Yeah.
but it was such a sweet thing. And I loved that. I really, really like that. And I think it would be interesting to play out Lady Denham and Rowley to see how they end up. And because he's going to keep coming back, but they're not going to get married. So they're just going to be companionship for everybody, for each person. Catherine said, if there was a season 4, which Justin Young has insisted will not happen, what do you think Jack Fox's storyline would be in his new role as a reverend or someone learning to be a reverend? I think that we would see him still up to his old ways at first, using his position to get close to young ladies who might have something to offer him. I don't think he would go as far as to ruin them, but I think he would definitely manipulate and abuse them in some way, shape, or form, at least at first, at least to the ones who are, I don't know, because I don't want to say that he's going to be so devious after what he went through with Augusta. What do you think, Janice?
Yeah, I could go either way. It could be a case of he gets to be sort of more of what he was, and I could even imagine him sort of taking advantage of married ladies that he was counseling.
Oh, that would make more sense to me. Yes.
Yeah, because then he would have to have any kind of commitment to them.
Mhm.
Or he could go the other way and actually find a wife and,
I could see
have a
him
good
doing
life.
that. Maybe once
Yeah.
I think I could see that once he's significantly older.
Yeah. This says Reverend Fox will never change. Yeah,
So-
you're probably right.
I think
Unfortunately.
I like your theory that he would prey on married women who are unsatisfied in their marriages.
Mhm.
And we're
That's what
seeking,
I'm concerned about.
yeah, would be easily manipulatable. That's not a
Right.
word. That's not how you say that word.
Manipulated
Yes. Oh my gosh.
or malleable.
I just recorded a podcast right before this one, and we were on there for 2 hours, and it was it was a lot of this where I just couldn't remember what was happening. But I think that I could see him doing that. I think Augusta has altered him in the way that he wouldn't take advantage of people who were sort of without friend or without people to care for them, like young women who were unmarried but were maybe not out in society or just newly out in society. I think Augusta has altered him enough that he wouldn't go after them, but I could definitely see him going after married women who are unsatisfied. And then I could see him later on in life marrying just so that maybe he could have someone, as Robert Hankins had, Beatrice,
Right. Yeah.
but not
Well,
out of
maybe
real
he'd learn
love.
from his ways. Yeah. So,
I don't
well,
think he could completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I do love that scene when Edward's saying to Lady Denham that he, without agenda, that he would stay with her
She just
as
laughs at him.
long as she needed him. And she's like, I have something completely different for you in mind. Yeah, that was funny.
We're asked if there's a season 4, which I would almost put money on it that there's not going to be a season 4. But someone said, if there's a season 4, would you guys do reaction videos instead of recap? We'd probably still do a recap, but what we do beyond our recaps is we dig into, like, this is our first episode post recaps and post season 3. So usually we do a live right after that. We talk to everybody about it, and we'll do an episode where we go over YouTube comments on the videos from our recaps. And then we'll do another one where we talk about the ironies, parallels, but then we dig into each character. We dig into the new characters individually, and then we dig into relationships between the characters and amongst the characters, and then a couple other aspects about the show. And then we start to look for maybe interviews and fan fiction, stuff like that.
So do you think that she means by reaction interviews ones where we would, right after the broadcast, do a live and talk about it? Or
I think
that
that's kind of what
thing?
she's doing, or watching it live while we react to it.
Yeah.
And that's not something we would do. We would just do the recap.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
did try doing a live. I don't know if it was a Sanditon or if it was on my other podcast, but we tried to watch it live with everybody, and it just did not work well. No one could focus on the
Yeah.
show, and it was a lot of, and it even tried to talk during the commercials. It just didn't work. So that's not something that I would ever do. Maybe afterwards we
So
could do a quick recap, but
Stephanie's saying Edward, he meant the relationship, I think, between Edward and Ms. Hankins,
Beatrice.
which that's a really good point.
Yeah,
He did actually take her advice. She gave good advice, not entirely knowing exactly what he was up to, but yeah, I do
Mhm.
think that's a good point. Yeah, Edward, I agree. And how he asked her to dance even that time when he didn't have to. That was good that he wasn't told to,
Yeah,
um,
I agree with that. Then Joy said, wouldn't he marry for money? Someone with new money who he would be a step up for. If it was someone that he could manipulate, I think he would. I just don't think he would ever marry for money or for love. I think that he would just keep himself aloof from that. But I think he
well, he
could
has
marry
the
for money.
title to offer, so yeah, if
Mhm.
somebody fell in love with him, he
Yeah.
maybe, especially if he didn't really feel much for them.
Yeah. But if it's
Um,
someone with money, he would definitely have to manipulate them, because someone with money is not going to go look to marry a clergyman. They're going to look to marry at their station or above.
So do you see the next question, the one Catherine wrote, one question that has come up on Facebook group is whether Charlotte would have ended her engagement if Ralph had not realized that she was not his first choice for a husband and raised this with her.
I think she would have.
Well, she kind of had to, but it would have been a much more difficult conversation if he had not
Agreed.
caught on.
Yeah.
If he, and I think that's why the writers wrote it the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
So that it would be more palatable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think though, if he had not said it, I think the moment that we talked about that scene when they first get out of the carriage after finding Augusta, the tension between Colbourne and Charlotte with the hand holding and the staring at each other's eyes, it felt like one or both of them was saying goodbye. And I think that I think that was a turning point for Charlotte where she realized, I cannot marry Ralph. It would be a lie. And she's telling all that revelation to Mary. So I think that she would have realized, like, I can't follow through with this lie. It would be something against what God has for marriage, and I can't do it. So I think she would have. But again, I agree with Janice that it would have been a much more difficult and sticky situation and conversation to have if she was left to that, especially if she's the one breaking off the engagement.
Yeah. Right.
Cheryl says in season 1, it seemed like Mary knew Charlotte had seen Sydney at the Cove. How do you think she knew? I'm not sure she knew that she saw him at the Cove. I think when she found Charlotte in season 1, at that point, Charlotte was staring at Sydney's portrait and then was very, very flustered about what she found on the beach. So I think Mary just knew something was going on. I don't think she knew that she had seen him naked at the Cove. I think that she was, I think there's something there, which she's not wrong about.
No seashells.
Exactly. And the way how flustered she got talking about Sydney and being caught staring at his portrait, because I got the gist that Mary was watching her for a minute or two before she said something. So
could be. Yeah.
I think that she just was kind of, because I think Mary is very intuitive and she gets that way by watching the people around her and how they're responding. We see that how she does it with Tom in season 1 and in season 3, where she watches him and watches what he's saying, what he's doing and how he's acting, because she's trying to ascertain what's really coming out of there. And I think that's what happened with Charlotte. I don't think she knew about the Cove. I think she just knew, okay, there's more to this that something's not being shared with me.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
I agree with you. Yeah, that it was so well written and the delivery was so well timed.
Yeah.
Between the two of them. Yeah, that was awesome. And there's so many good parts. I think the whole series was well written.
Yeah.
But I think that season 1 was a little more unique in some of their writing. And
I agree.
I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it was just, and the take on it was different. It was more, as Jack Fox said when he was interviewed, it was like the Old West meets Regency England. It was that kind of approach, and I think that's how it was filmed. And they had what did they call the tavern? I mean, the tavern. I guess they call it a tavern, a pub. And the hotel, wasn't it called the Crown?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was it in season 3. I think what I noticed, because I did notice that in the seasons, but I think when they came to season 2 and 3, the whole reason they were doing a season 2 and 3 is because the fans pushed so hard for it. So there was so much pressure to give the fans what they wanted, what the fans felt they deserved, what they thought the fans deserved. And I think that part of that was pulling in a lot of inspiration from Jane Austen's stuff, because I did realize in season 2 and 3, there was way more overt correlations between that writing and that story and Jane Austen's works. And I think that was intentional because I think they were fans came to this, they flocked to Sanditon because Jane Austen. And so I think that they were trying to reward the fan base and trying to give them something that would appeal to them as well as make sense in the storyline.
And there was some criticism around, not being very Jane Austen like, which that's also true some of 2 and 3, but but they did tip their hat to Jane Austen's work more in 2 and 3. So Catherine said, I enjoyed that Justin Young included so many love stories this season. but some viewers were critical of the inclusion of stories that may have taken time away from the primary love stories. And then she goes on to say, I love the fact, oh no, that was just a repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves the fact that he did include these love stories of different age groups. I agree. While
Mhm.
Austen is also fond of young love, Young's inclusion of other stories was lovely for me. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree too with all the different love stories that he included.
Mhm.
That was awesome. And I keep saying that word, but wonderful.
And I think it
Anyway.
needed to happen.
Mhm.
I think it would have
And when
been
I
too one note otherwise.
yeah. When I went back and was rewatching season 1 and then thinking about season 2 and 3, it occurred to me that there was so much promo for the beginning of season 2 about the two suitors for Charlotte. Well, the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is she had two suitors in every episode,
She did. Every season,
so
yep.
yeah, because she had
Leo,
obviously Sydney and
James Stringer.
thank
Jeez.
you.
All I could think of was
Not
Leo
his
Suitor.
yeah. Yeah, Sydney and James Stringer, and then she had
Lennox and Colbourne.
Colonel Lennox and uh Colbourne, and then in the third one Ralph and Colbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So she had rivalry all through. Of course, in the second season, we had also Allison's rivalry. I
Yeah.
do wish that Allison and Herbo had come back in season
Declan.
3. Yes, Captain
I do too.
Carter. And I wish
Fraser.
that Fraser, thank you, Fraser, not Carter. Carter was the other one.
Yeah, he was the
And
bozo.
I also agree with those people who were upset about or critical of or questioning the fact that there was no family members at her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love to have seen, even if they just brought her father back to walk her
Yeah.
down the aisle. The actor that played her father in the first season, I would have loved that. But I'm sure, you never know about commitments people have and who's available when. And it just, my guess is they may have thought about it, but it just wasn't workable.
It was probably, I mean, that's to have all those actors come in was another expense too. But I wonder if the parallel was being made because that scene in season 3, when they are talking to Lady Denham about helping to fund the school in the town, they're all Mary, Tom, Arthur, and Charlotte are all matching. And they all stand up together and they hold hands and they're united front with rejoicing. And then in the wedding with Colbourne and Charlotte, Tom matches the groom. So I'm wondering if they're trying to kind of make the correlation of the Parkers are her family now. She's now in Sanditon. This is now where her family lives. Not that she's completely divorcing her other family, but even when that letter she got from her dad, when she said he's disappointed, surely, but he's been gracious, but she's crying. So clearly her dad was pretty forceful in that letter saying, hey, why did you do this? You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have left Ralph. You should have married Ralph, that sort of thing. So I don't think it was a complete divorcing, but I think that they were trying to draw the line to it's her and the Parkers now. She is
Well,
Sanditon now, maybe.
I think she was crying because he probably
He was
did
disappointed.
understand. I think he's disappointed, but he was also understanding that she had found another love, because he was not, he was worried that she would be taken advantage of, but he was also wanted her to see more of the world, you know.
But did he
So,
know she had another love? Do you think Ralph would have told him that?
oh, I'm sure, yes.
I don't
I
think
think
Ralph would have
so.
saw that as his business to tell her dad about this other love that she had. I think Ralph
I
would
don't
have
know.
just got home and said, I could not marry her. She didn't love me. I could see that.
Yeah, we don't know. So Mary says in season 2, Charlotte had ideas, opinions, took action. In season 3, she seemed to always be in a reactive mode. She did not have her agency from season 2. I'm still waiting for season 3 to be about her.
Well, I think the problem there is that the first half of season 3, she's trying to be a good wife prospect for her future husband. She's engaged. There's different sort of standards that she would have to live by as someone who is now engaged. And you see that Ralph a couple different times showed up in Sanditon saying, all right, I've come to take you home. Let's go. So there was sort of different rules that she had to abide by as a future wife. But I think you see action come after that episode. Was it 5 when she and Ralph broke it off? It was 5, right? Episode 5. When you see her talking about the school, when you see her help to raise funding for the school, and you see her help to do all these things, she goes to Colbourne's house. So I think you're right. She did sort of take a back seat to a lot of season 3, but I think that was the point, was that Ralph was changing her away from who she was meant to be. And then once she was no longer with Ralph, she kind of went back into the active role.
And really, one of the reasons, you're right, she was being reactive, and a lot of it was because of what was happening to Georgiana. That's one of the reasons why she stayed, was to, well, the major reason, as far as we were told, that she stayed was to help be with Georgiana and her court case. So yeah, that it was very different. She also, I think, had ideas and opinions and took action in season 1, the very thing you're talking about. So I think that held through in season 1 and 2, as well as, well, and she did in season 3 go to try and get, try to go and get Save Augusta. So she was taking action again. It's just, I get where you're coming from, but I think it was the situation dictated what happened.
I agree with that. Yeah. Stephanie says, I have a slight preference for season 2 because I find it more balanced with the old and new characters. It's a perfect bridge between season 1 and 3. She goes on to say, I found that in the last season, the stories are more numerous because they involve more characters.
A lot of it is because the characters, all these characters have been coming up, and now they're trying to tie up the bow, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring things to a conclusion. And so I agree with you about it. And actually season 1 had fewer characters, and so you spent more time with each character, and it had more episodes. So you really spent more time. You got to see their arch, as the actors like to talk about, the character arch. You see a lot more of that in season 1.
Yep. And I think in season 2, and we talked about this when we did recaps for season 2, it felt more like it was just a building block season, because we had to be introduced to Colbourne. We had to be introduced to who Charlotte is going to end up with. And we had to build that relationship up. We had to build the tension. We had to add all these things in there. We had to deal with Sydney's death. So season 2 did feel, I think you're right. It is a good bridge between 1 and 3, because that's what season 2 had to be used for, was the buildup of all these characters and situations. And season 3, they had to add more cast members, because the way to get a happy ending for the characters we have loved over 2 seasons is to provide the answer. And providing the answer came in forms of new characters, like with Lady Susan. Fell in love with her in season 1. She got Samuel Colbourne in season 3. And the same thing with pushing Colbourne to Charlotte required the Montroses. Things like that. So I think I think you're right. It is more, Catherine says, in some ways, season 3 feels more like an ensemble piece than season 1. Certainly, there was much more of a strong focus on Charlotte's journey. I agree with that, because they had to have, they knew this was going to be the final. They wanted, as Jana said, they wanted to make sure they tied up everything with a bow. They wanted to make sure everything was finalized, that we had all the answers, the endings to the stories that we wanted. And so they had to add more people in.
Right. Yeah.
Do you want to read Jay's comment?
And so we have another person, Jay
Stipula.
I don't know how you say your name, but it's pretty. Charlotte is growing and evolving in season 2 and 3. She cannot be the same as in season 1. This show is about growing and changing, not about Victorian
Gidget.
Gidget. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Gidget, by the way, is a fantastic movie series. Even though they changed the actress for Gidget in every single one of them, still fantastic movie series.
But yeah, you're right. She is growing and evolving. And I am very happy that the final scene in the 6th episode was of her at the school and with the girls, including Dorca,
Dora.
Dora, thank you, including Dora. And I love the way how the girls are dancing down the street
Yeah.
as they leave the school. And so even though she's going to be a mother and she's a teacher too, so she hasn't given up her goals and her interests and her, so she has finally found a husband who is able to marry her and is very willing to support her need for growth and to share learning, and is supportive of having a school, which was awesome. I mean, it's kind of comes full circle from 2 and 3, and that she started as a governess and finishes up as a teacher and mother.
Yeah.
So I love the way they did that.
And I think with that too, I think you are right, Jay, that it is a show about growing and changing. And I think that was the point of highlighting her grief in season 2, because grief is a part of the process. Part of the process of grief is growing, is recovering from it, is dealing with your grief, is going through these stages and becoming something from it, not letting it define you, but letting it grow you and teach you something. And so we got to see that most of season 2. In season 3, we got to see her navigate a lot of different scenarios and do a lot of different areas where it forced her to grow. And I think that it was everything they did with Charlotte's character was an intentional piece that was designed to force her to grow, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Dr. K says, hello, Maureen and Janice. I think you two mentioned a deleted scene regarding Otis going to the Navy. Yes, we did. Do you remember when this happened? Was it on the DVD or online someplace? Let me know. And thanks. It was put up by Red Planet after season 1. If you search YouTube for Sanditon season 1 deleted scenes, there will be one with him. It was a letter that Georgiana received saying that he was going to the Navy. There's also one where you see Sydney and Eliza walking through Sanditon. There is a different scene that is, it's the same scene, but they just did it differently with the kiss between Sydney and Charlotte outside the carriage before he leaves to go solve the problem, right before he gets engaged to Eliza.
Which
there was
deleted because you wouldn't have seen that.
Yes.
People unmarried, that public display of affection.
Yeah. There was also a deleted scene with Crow and Clara, which I'm sad did not get put in there because I loved that scene. I really did. I was really sort of hoping for Crow to come back and sort of rescue Clara somehow. I don't know why, but I really like that idea of those two together.
Yeah. He's another actor who was busy right away.
Yeah.
Matthew Needham is in the follow-up to the Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And those were all, you can find them online on YouTube. I don't think they're on the DVD.
No,
I haven't really searched for them, but I don't think they are.
Yeah, I don't own the DVDs, but I've not heard from anyone who has the DVD that they were on there. A lot of the people who I know who have seen them found them by searching YouTube for deleted scenes by Red Planet for Sanditon season 1. And there might even be other deleted scenes from season 2 and season 3. I haven't seen any, but I doubt they would have put them out yet.
I think it was Red Planet's way of sort of placating the fans, giving us
exactly
something else while decision was being made. Jay says, I wish CK, I assume she means Charlotte and Alexander referred to each other by a mutual first name. Yeah, we only see that even with Sydney. She never calls him Sydney.
No.
She refers to him, talks about him with Mary and stuff as Sydney. Never calls him Sydney. He calls her Charlotte in those emotional scenes at the end of 7 and 8.
Yep. And I don't think Colbourne ever calls her Charlotte. But I agree that would have been nice to see. But that could also just be showing you that maybe that was something else that they were doing to make a stark correlation between Alexander Colbourne is not Sydney Parker. Maybe that was something that was intentional. Although I struggle to give them that credit when they forgot Lady Wister's name. So maybe that wasn't intentional. I'm still sour about that. I'm real salty about that.
Yeah.
Their one
At least
mistake,
we
they are not
know.
allowed to make any. No mistakes for my
Uh,
writers.
At least Paula told us what happened, which was
Yes,
good.
exactly. Yeah, because that would have driven
And
me crazy.
I
Catherine.
was there. One person is asking, you're wondering if Colbourne grew on me this season, and yes, he did. He redeemed himself in season 3, especially the last. Well, even from the time that he overheard the conversation that Charlotte was having about Georgiana's attorney, from then on, he turned into a much better guy for me.
Mhm. As I told her he would, because he was going to leave and come back changed. And I feel very proud for the fact that I was right.
Yes,
I mean,
you
Janice
were.
never had a doubt, to be honest. She knew she was going to fall in love with him eventually.
Yeah,
Catherine
I just
said,
was frustrated with him.
yes, rightly so, though. Catherine said, I started rewatching the series starting with season 1. I was struck by the opening lines of the series, a conversation between Mary and Tom in that carriage. Yeah. What struck you about that, Catherine? But that is, I do love that comment. Oh, she goes on to say, Mary says something like, I think we are going the wrong way. And Tom says, no, this is the right way, my dear. Yep. Those lines foreshadow so much for them and their struggles on other serious characters. I agree. And it shows
Absolutely.
that Mary is clearly the heads and brains of this operation. And Tom, as
Although
the neck, sometimes refuses to let her turn.
that was not really the case, however, in Jane Austen's book.
Mm-mm.
That character was not written to be as good the Mary that we know and love now, and especially one in season 1 and season 3 that really stood up to him when he needed it. But I'm glad that's how Andrew Davies and Justin Young wrote this
Mm-hmm.
character.
Yeah.
Oh, and Catherine said that Matthew Needham is in a new version of Great Expectations.
Yep, I saw that too.
Awesome.
I was excited about that.
I did not know that. I'll have to look for it.
I found that when I was Great Expectations used to be one of my favorite books in high school. Audrey says Colbourne was the man who fully
really?
Yep. Audrey says Colbourne was the man who fully supported Charlotte's goals and dreams. Colbourne also grows as an unsure, doubtful man to an assertive but loving man. I don't know that I would ever classify him as unsure and doubtful. I think that he was, maybe you mean that in the way of how he felt he was able to receive love, because he certainly didn't think he was deserving of it. But I think
he was self-loathing, don't you think?
I agree with that completely. Yeah. He did not like himself very much.
That's, he and Sydney had that both in common at the beginning of When We Meet Them. And it is largely through their association with Charlotte that they change.
Yep, exactly. Mary goes on to say, I want you both to know how much you enriched my watching of an obsession with Sanditon. I really enjoyed hearing other observations and perspectives I had not thought of. Thank you, Mary. We were very glad to be able to bring it to you.
Because
we're not going to stop.
We would have been doing this talking regardless, so we're happy that others shared it.
Exactly. I was just shy of putting an ad on Craigslist, being like, hey, someone come talk to me about Sanditon. Not in person, though. Not Craigslist is not where you go to meet people. Just to be clear. Mary also said Mary is a better businessman than Tom was. I think they're Mary cared more for people and Tom cared more for money. So I think that if Mary was just given over to herself to run it, they would have come into problems too, because she would have bankrupted things to make sure that people had more than they needed. And Tom is the polar opposite, where he just bankrupted because he wanted more. So I think that they highlighted their relationship was mutually beneficial in that regard.
I do love the fact that they I'm sorry.
That's right.
Lady Denham and Rowley, he changed and agreed to support the hotel as it was originally conceived, instead of this grand hotel that would reform the town. So that was good. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. And I think it's the way that Mary's ideas, I don't know that those ideas were solely Mary. I think that most of them were Mary's to give them the workers plots of land. But you see that Tom does like the bigger, when it comes to like building and doing business for people who are going to come in and spend the money and bring the money. Tom is the one who planned those out. Mary plans out how to keep the people in the town fed, cared for, and without needing or going without. And I think that's why they work. And like with the plot of land, that is going to benefit the town. The happier the workers are, the better conditions the workers have, the more work can be done in the town, the better it will profit it. And Tom brings in the profit from the outside. So I think that that's why they work.
Right. And I love the fact that Mary and Colbourne teamed up
Yes.
for the town. That was really wonderful. And how Lady Denham at the end said, "I'm not going to be shown as a miser by Mr. Colbourne," you know.
Oh my
That was
gosh, I
great.
love Lady Denham. I want to be friends with Lady Denham so bad.
Any excuse will do, right?
Yes. And I think too that had to have endeared you to Colbourne even more when he and Mary teamed up, right? That shows that his values are in line with what we expect someone who's going to be with Charlotte to have.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It was fun how they wrapped it all up, but it is interesting, and we've are really glad you've enjoyed this discussion. We are not going to stop. We're going to go and do the in-depth characters like we have after seasons 1 and 2. And I know someone suggests that we really get into Georgiana and her mom, which I really want to do.
Yep.
And then how awesome was it to have Otis come back? You know, that was really good. And it was great to see that actor come back and play that character. So we are planning to continue that, and even probably continue into talking about some more of Jane Austen's work.
Yes, absolutely. So we're gonna, if you are curious how it's gonna run for the next few episodes, we're probably gonna take a little, next week we're gonna record and go over our YouTube comments for our recaps, and then we're gonna take maybe a week or two break before we dig into like a summer session, just so I can get, my kids are about to end school and there's a lot of end of the year things coming up, and I don't want to just keep giving you guys things late. So we might take a little bit of a break, but then you can look at how our podcast has gone the last few years. It's going to follow that same pattern. So
and continuing to work on trying to get interviews.
Yes.
That's a big part of it too.
Yes. I hope to get as many interviews as they will possibly give me. I hope to give them. And I have a lot of questions. And if you guys have questions, you can feel free always to email us at the.sanditonchronicles@gmail.com. And those questions will be filtered in. And of course, not of course, but sometimes before I do an interview, if they okay it, I will put something out on Facebook so that I can ask them the questions that you have. It's something we do on our other podcast when we interview cast and crew members from the shows, is putting out a post saying, hey, we're interviewing this person today. Do you have questions you'd like us to ask? And it's nice to take them to the Facebook section and say, we have some fan questions for you. So that's something that you for sure can do when we do that. Reno said, thank you, Janice and Marina. I really enjoyed season 3 and how Augusta and Leo showed us their closeness, playfulness, and matchmaking scheming. I agree. I think
that was great.
They became some of my favorite characters.
Right. Yeah. Wouldn't you love to see them continue?
100%. I really think, Janice, you and I need to write this. We need to start pitching it to somebody. We can do it.
Yeah. And then Mary says that the Raleigh character was fabulous in the Neutrix series, which I've watched a little bit of.
I don't know what that is.
It's on PBS runs it. At least one of the PBSs does here. It's probably on BritBox. We should look for it. It's a detective series. The first series, she says, not the second series, where the head detective and another lead were replaced. It didn't have the great chemistry. And then Catherine says, I would be fascinated to hear analysis of what you both think are the contributions, roles that the men in Charlotte's life played for her, and maybe not only her love interest. That'd be a good topic. Idea.
Yeah.
Definitely have to do that. Did we ever figure out why Colbourne thought he, let's see, why Colbourne thought he could never be a good husband or make women happy. I thought early it might have been he knew he couldn't have children and didn't end that way.
It was
No,
his
no, no. It's
wife.
all, yes, because his wife, he had inherited, his brother Samuel was supposed to inherit the estate. He turned it down. And Colbourne was stuck with it. Alexander was stuck with it. And they had gone to London and she wanted to stay. He wanted to go home and take care of the estate. And it's obvious he's a little bit more of an introvert and,
Yeah.
not as outgoing. She gets involved with Lennox. This is the whole story that we discover happens. Gets pregnant. He goes to finally get her to come home, finds out she's pregnant, brings her home. She has the child. And then early on, after the child is born, walks out into bad weather and we assume catches pneumonia or whatever.
Yeah.
We aren't told exactly what happens. So he feels guilty about that he wasn't a good enough husband to her, and that all of that happened, that she would stray and be taken advantage of by Lennox, and that then she was so disheartened that she didn't want to live, basically.
Yeah,
Is that a good
exactly.
summary?
Yes, it's a great summary. And he mentions that his pride kept him at Hawick Park instead of going to London to get her sooner. That he was
Right.
sort of like, well, fine, if you don't want to be with me, then I'm going to go. He gave us the idea that was kind of his mentality, and he thought Charlotte deserved better. Jay asked, what other podcasts or shows do you discuss? We don't do anything. I run another podcast called Fandom Family Chats, where we discuss things like the Chicago show, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD. We discuss the resident Netflix shows, a lot of show. We have a lot of other groups. This group, Sanditon Chronicles, Sanditon Family Fan Club. If you look on Facebook under Family Fan Clubs, I think there will be 12. We minimize some of them and join them into Netflix. So there'll be like 12 other groups that pop up that we run, that our podcast.
That you run.
Yeah.
I'm not involved with
Yeah,
that.
Janice is not. There's a team of 8 of us. There's 4 of us owners, or 3. No, there's 4 of us owners that that have control of what happens in the groups. But there's a team of 8 or 10 of us that run all the Family Fan Club groups. So that's that. When we do discuss more Jane Austen movies and shows, and maybe we'll go on to like some BritBox shows, maybe on this podcast, we will definitely post the links to the shows and tell you where you can watch them, how you can see them, that sort of thing. Absolutely.
Well, I will say that it's your fault that I started watching Stranger Things.
Do you still not like it?
I mean, there's parts of it I like. There's, there was some grossness there, so. And
there's definitely some grossness.
Yeah, so I will watch season 5 when it comes out.
Oh, did you finish Stranger Things?
Oh yeah, I finished it.
What, did you love Murray?
Oh yes, he's probably the best character in the whole thing.
He was my favorite.
I love the actress that plays 11, who is in
Millie Bobby Brown.
Enola
Holmes.
Yeah,
that's our favorite movie in this house, is Enola Holmes 1 and 2.
Yeah. So Catherine says, is there one for Bridgerton? Do you guys do Bridgerton?
I don't do that one, but there is. We do discuss it on the podcast. I'm the producer for that show, and I'm the owner for the podcast. So anyone that I'm not actively on, because we all watch different shows, that's not one that I participate in, but I do edit them and I produce them and I put them out. So there is one for Bridgerton. There's also a group for Bridgerton called Bridgerton Family Fan Club on Facebook. And I think that they're going to be recording one on Queen Charlotte coming up here in the next couple weeks after our shows.
I've watched the first 3 episodes of Queen Charlotte. I had no idea they were coming out with that.
Oh yeah,
it appeared. Right before it appeared.
My only complaint about the Bridgerton series is it's a shame, because for me the stories are so good, but I can't do the gratuitous sex scenes. I can't watch those. I can't do them. And so it's a lot of fast forwarding, and that's a lot of, so it just is like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe fast forward that much, I shouldn't watch it.
It wasn't nearly as much of that in season 2 of Bridgerton.
No,
as it was in season 1.
For sure not.
So Stephanie says, last year in an interview, Justin said that if there was a season 4, he would like to base it on Augusta and Leo. but this year he said he wouldn't do season 4 if it were planned.
I wonder
Well,
if that's
he's
because
probably
of how they
very-
ended up.
What do you mean how they ended up?
Because I think he ended all the stories happily. And so to go on to it, you would have to create more drama for the characters, but the fans were excited. I mean, yes, do we want more? 100% we want more, but we will never stop wanting more. So if we go based off of what we want, we're going to be on season 100 of Sanditon, and that's just not feasible. So, I mean, we do want more, but I think we're all satisfied too that we've seen all of our characters that we've fallen in love with and happily.
I think too, what he's saying is that if Masterpiece and or Red Planet were to take on a season 4, he won't be the writer for the lead. He probably is ready to move on to a different kind of series, would be my guess.
Yeah. And he's got the talent for it too. So I can't wait I hope that he starts, because I know he's active on Twitter. I hope he puts on there what his next project is so we can all get involved and get behind it. Cause I'd like to see what else he comes up with. He's got great talent.
Yeah.
Julianne, we are happy you made it to the live chat. We don't have a whole lot left, but I'm glad you made it on here. Catherine says, thank you both for your wonderful podcast throughout the series. Looking forward to upcoming podcasts. Thank you. We are too. Janice and I have gotten to be friends through this process. So we like talking together too. So that helps.
And obviously we hope and pray that your health will continue to improve so that will make it easier for you.
Yes.
Which has been a challenge over the last couple of years.
This process has been a mess. My oncologist, he actually said that I'm one of his only patient, his only patient that he sees every month post-treatment, because things are not improving or getting better the way they're supposed to. And we just decided on my appointment this week that we're going to give me the summer off of coming to see him. But he said he's a little afraid of that. So we're gonna hope that I'm not going to need my oncologist through the summer. We're going to hope that all the things that are going wrong are going to be able to be fixed. And that's just what we need. Denise, hey, I'm glad you made it. Denise is one who would like to talk with us, by the way.
Great.
So
anytime.
I have seen your emails, Denise, and I have seen your messages, right? Denise, you're the one who wants to talk with us, right? I just haven't been able to respond to them because we haven't scheduled the podcast. We're going to be talking with you, but you'll come on with Janice and I probably before we dig into the character spotlights. So maybe our first one back in June. But we'll reach out to you and we'll let you know what's going to work and what'll help. Since you just got here, Denise, we were saying that we're going to take we're going to have this episode, our next episode where we're talking about, we're going to answer your YouTube comments on all of our recaps. So if you want to go on to, if there's like 500 on each recap, we won't answer all of the questions on the recaps. There's a certain amount that we will get to on each recap, but our next episode will be, Janice and I are probably going to record on a Friday. That's usually when we record. And we'll get it out to you by that Sunday. And then we're going to take about a 2-week break from there. And we'll jump into our other stuff. So Denise, I will reach out to you. I have gotten your emails. Also, if you guys email me and I haven't emailed you back while I'm in the middle of doing these podcasts, I don't typically respond to emails then. I usually do it in the summer when I have a moment, because in my other podcast, we record 3 episodes a week. And then in this one, we record. So I have 4 episodes of podcasts that I have to edit and produce and put out. So I will respond. I promise. Stephanie says, I imagine Mary and Alexander becoming friends and joining forces to contain Tom's grandiose ideas about Sanditon. Well, you certainly need a team to do that.
And they started that. So I think
Yes.
it will continue.
Yes.
And I think all it will take, if Tom has any pushback, is just to remind him what it was like when Mary was on her deathbed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I think one thing that I'm sad about that I didn't get to see that I wish they would have is one that, you know how they ended it, right? Where they kind of zoom out and you see Augusta and Leo dancing and you see Charlotte and Alexander walking. I wish they would have panned over. I know it would have been an expense, but I wish they would have panned over Old Town so we could see its improvements.
oh,
Because it had been
yeah,
at least
if they'd
a
actually
year.
done them.
Yeah. Well, I think they would have. I think if Mary's getting involved and Colbourne's getting involved, I think that they are both moral enough to do that.
Actually, I think you need to rewatch it, Maureen, because there's one scene where they are showing the more modern part of town, and then they show that the old town has been painted up and stuff.
Maybe I just didn't realize it was
had-
Old Town.
Maybe, but go back and look at it again, because and that happens in season 3.
Well,
Yeah.
clearly you guys have learned in this podcast today that I have not watched season 2 and 3 nearly enough. So I will have to jump off on that. Denise said, I still need to listen to episode 6, but I'm sure I will leave big comment as usual. Okay, good.
It's long
Yeah.
because we went scene by scene. So
that was a hard one for Janice and I to record for some reason, because it was such a pivot. It was the final Sanditon episode, and I felt a lot of pressure to get it right. And we wanted to make sure we talked about everything. So it was the only one of our recaps where we went chronologically. We followed along with the script to make sure we were staying in place. There was one point when we were halfway through going chronologically already where I went, Janice, I don't think I want to do chronological anymore. but we stayed chronologically anyway. So that is a long one. Feel free to divide it up, but we do go over everything that is in there. So,
well, and a lot of that was because there was so much back and forth between the characters and how what happened with one character affected another character.
Exactly.
So it was hard, like in the first season, it was pretty easy to focus on what was happening with the Dennons, what was happening with the Parkers, divide it up. And it was not that way in that episode.
No. And it's because they were tying everything up, so everything flowed into each other. Julianne said, I want a spinoff of Samuel and Lady Susan. Yes, please. And Dr. and Mrs. Hankins.
Yes.
It would be Dr. and Mrs. Fuchs now.
Yes.
But I agree with that. Denise said we got to see the school and clean up houses.
That's what I was telling you about.
Oh, I was like, at the ballet, you went to see a school and you clean up houses? Well, that seems weird for a ballet.
No, in the series, you definitely have to.
I don't think I realized it was Old Town. Probably because it was cleaned up and looked nice. It wasn't dilapidated.
And what you notice is there's sort of a slight difference in the pavement is what clued me in right away to it.
Yeah. That's true. I will rewatch it, but I'm going to catch up to you, Janice, and then we're going to watch season 2 and 3 together. We'll have to talk about it.
Okay.
Reno says, did anyone notice Georgiana's dress at Charlotte and Alexander's reception? It's strayed away from the elegant gown she typically wore and played on color. Was it? I felt like it was the same one she wore when she met with Otis, when Otis first appeared back, and the same one she wore when she was leaving for London. Is it not that dress? I don't remember what dress she was wearing.
I think they did go back to
muted colors.
Her dresses, when she was so self-focused and just worried about that. She was spending lots of money on gowns. Mm-hmm. And I think they went back to the more simpler, less elegant gowns at the end.
Yeah, because
the ballet she saw was Sleeping Beauty. So
that would be beautiful. That would be amazing. Oh my gosh, Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney story, my favorite Disney movie. That would be great. No, that's not the dress she wore. But I agree with Janice. I think that was when she returned to Otis, when she stopped focusing on, I have to be this. This is for my title. This is for my this. This is for my this. She had the one that really, really struck me of hers. That I was like, ooh, Georgiana, what are you doing? Was that green? It was when Mary brought her mom to see her and she had that green jacket on with the fur all along. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Why are you wearing that? But it was because it was extravagant and it was flamboyant. She was showing, I deserve to be here.
Right.
And that orange and yellow. And I think too, the other thing with the dresses when she got more simple is the colors. Any color complimented Georgiana because Crystal Clark is beautiful. So, I mean, it's not hard to make something look good on her. But they went back to colors that really, truly complimented her and really complimented who she was as a human being as well. Oh, I don't think she looks drab in the end. She says Georgiana looks drab in the end.
Yeah, well, but it's just in contrast to how she looked.
Yeah.
When she was giving herself that party and, she was with Lord Harry was his,
yes.
Anyway.
Harry Montrose.
Yeah. Who was also in the Shadow and the Bone, by the way.
Really?
In the first season. Very briefly,
Huh.
he got killed off, but he was in it.
He was reborn in Sanditon. Denise is talking about the ballet she went to. She said, my favorite story ballet, Washington Ballet. Julie Kent's last performance as artistic director. Oh, cool. Washington Ballet. I don't think I've ever seen a Washington Ballet. But yeah, I would love to see that. All right. So guys, it is 5:30. We've been on here for about an hour and a half. And I ran out of water like 25 minutes ago. So I'm gonna need to get off here soon. Do you guys have any final questions for Janice or I on this live? Janice, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we duck out?
No, I don't have anything in particular. I would just say that we probably need to do another live down the road after people have had more time to digest it and you know, have watched it for the 10th time.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe Marie needs to watch it for the 10th time so she can get her facts straight.
Yeah.
Someday I will do that. I will do it this week, maybe, possibly.
At least get started.
Yes. And that final week of May where I only have one other podcast to record. So maybe I could do it that week. Washington, D.C., not Washington State.
I want to, the other thing I wanted to say is how much I appreciate everybody's comments, all their questions, all the disagreements, the ways, we are not experts. We're just very big fans and enjoy talking about this and try to look into everything. So thank you for all your suggestions, input, support, and just great to have people who cared about it as much as we do.
Absolutely. And I like that. Disagree with us, totally fine. We like having those conversations because it helps us to look at Sanditon in a whole new light. It's like getting more Sanditon all over again. So we're okay with that. Any possibility for a season 4? No, there is not. There will not be a season 4. This is it. Unless somebody else unaffiliated with this decides, you know what? I want to get permission to take these stories this way. Maybe they would allow them to do that. I don't know. But as far as anyone who is currently involved in the project, there is no possibility for season 4. All done. Which is nice. What we need to do is we need to carry it on ourselves. Whether it's through fan fiction or Janice is in my script.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Nice. Well, I was going to say, yes, some fan fiction. Yes, we agree with you, Julianne. It is sad to think about. Maybe especially after I retire, I'll have time to do something like that.
There you go.
It's a year away, but it's only a year.
We're going to find a way to fill all of your retired days with Sanditon. So one way or another, Janice, that is going to become your life and you are going to love it. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it for Janice and I tonight. You can tune in to our episode next Sunday, which will be the 14th, where we will answer your questions and comments on our YouTube recaps. We're just going over the recaps. As Janice said, we have been reading all of them, but you guys have been commenting a lot, which we so appreciate. We love reading all these comments, and it's great. We just haven't responded to them. So we're going to do a whole, maybe a 2-part video where we discuss them. So get your questions on those recaps by Thursday, the 11th, and we will go over them. And you can check out our Facebook group in the meantime, the Sanditon Chronicles, Sanditon Family Fan Club, where there are no more spoiler bans. So if you post something, please say, out of respect for the European countries that haven't gotten it yet, or the Australian places that haven't gotten it yet, that it's a spoiler for whatever season and whatever episode. But we will do another live. We'll probably do a couple more. It used to be part of a regular rotation. We struggled to get people on our lives at first, so we stopped doing them, but it used to be every 4th episode was a live. So we might go back to that format. I'm not sure. Julianne says she would read your fan fiction, by the way, Janice. She's looking forward to it. Reno, yes, please do not lie. We will. And Jay says, if no season 4, then all scenes need to be released for all seasons. I think they do need to. Let's get on that deleted scenes reel. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Start a new petition. We want them now. We've done it before, Sanditon Sisterhood. We can do it again. Let's get it done. All right, but we will see you guys on the 14th. Thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you craving more TSC content?
head on over to our social media accounts. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and our Facebook group, the Sanditon Chronicles Sanditon Family Fan Club. Also, check out our website, thesanditonchronicles.com. Of course, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to hear and what your thoughts are. Email us at the.sanditonchronicles@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in every week for new episodes.